The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday Sesh. I'm sick as fuck. I maybe should have taken today off, but I've been in bed for 2 days, so I do sound like shit, and I look like shit, so just a fair warning, I've been in bed. Me and my son have been in bed sick for 2 days straight, and that's the reason why I decided to do the show. I'm gonna get rid of some of this light, is because I was needing something to do because I've been stuck in bed, so I do look like shit. I'm going to try to change the lighting. I'm in a different spot. I'm in my bedroom because my son asked me. Hold on a sec. So lower this. My son asked me if he could. Oh, that's better. My son asked me if he could play his games with his friends, and I was like, go ahead. He's been home like sick as a dog for 3 days. I got it. You're gonna hear me snuffle a little bit. I might sneeze. I had it for 2 days, or I've had it for 2 days. So we're both just like, and it's been raining here, so it's been 2 days of just us, both of us been like stuck in bed trying to get over it. So I do have some updates. I'm not going to take you into anything today, obviously. He's out in there playing his game, and there really isn't too much to see, but I do have some updates on like what's going on with the grow, and I am going to do that test on that Canadian toffee that we were looking at. I should pop this up so I see what time it is. Make sure where's my time? There we go. There. So I'm going to do that test on that to see, like I told you guys, whether it's real or fake, or, at least get a gauge if there's anything cut into it. And then it's going to be a short show. I'm not going to go on too much tonight because I'm so fucking tired and sick. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get one rolled up here. I gotta turn this up. Now I can't even see where shit. Ugh. All right, there we go. So yeah, I'm gonna roll one up for the sesh, and then we'll do that test on that Canadian toffee. I'm gonna show you guys how I test to see if any of these concentrates are cut, and then I'll give you a little grow update. There is, like I said, there isn't a lot for visuals, but there is some stuff that's going on with that. So we'll chat about that. So first thing I'm gonna do is get my joint rolled for the 710 sesh, and there's no, like, I am going to test that hash tonight. Actually, no, you know what? Fuck, I'm going to put it in there now. So the second concentrate that I got, the first one was that Canadian toffee. That's the one we're going to do the test to see if it's cut. The second one was, I guess it's resin hash is what it is. Or rosin hash. I don't know. This stuff does smell legit, and this stuff does absolutely, I could drop a piece. Yeah, I did. Absolutely does not look cut with anything. Like, it does look like something that was homemade, a homemade concentrate. To me, it kind of gives me like a water hash feel, but it's kind of got like a butter. I don't know. It's got a different consistency. So I can't taste anything worth shit, but we're going to try it because it's been sitting here. So we're going to try it. I can actually smell this. This is probably one of the first things I've been able to fucking smell all week. So that's great. I haven't been able to taste any food, but I can smell that. It's still, the terps are still pretty strong with that. So we're going to dump that into a joint. And we're going to taste that and see if I can taste anything today. So that is, and I asked, like I said, inquired about these because I had given them my feedback on the shatter, like I told you last week. So they got back to me and they're like, this stuff here, which is the stuff I didn't know what was, He said it was rosin hash, which I don't know how you make, but resin or rosin hash, and it was made by his buddy. So this stuff is legit. Like, it's not a cut. It's some made by somebody local. So we're gonna take. I've never had this stuff before. I don't know how they make it. It definitely is not. It's not. I make a lot of water hash, and it's definitely a different consistency than water hash. But that's kind of like the first thing that I go for. It's a little bit more crumbly and not as hard as water hash. However, like I guess if you didn't press it as much, it would be kind of like this. It does feel different than hash or water hash. And apparently that's what he came back to me. He said his friend made it, and it was resin hash. I have to look it up. It was rosin or resin. I think it's resin. Anyway, so this is something completely different, I guess. And same with that Canadian toffee. You didn't really know much about it. It was one of those free samples. So I'm going to do that test again on it. So anybody that didn't catch that, how to test concentrates for cut, we're going to do that after we do the 710 Sesh here. So I'm just going to roll up and we'll do the taste. We'll try to do a taste test on this shit. But like I said, again, my taste buds are pretty whacked out right now because of the cold. But we're going to try. I can smell it, so that's a good sign. We'll get that rolled up. And then, yeah, and then I do have some updates and kind of a little bit of change in plans with my grow, and I'll explain that in a sec. So the last that we left off with the grow, I had told you guys that I had sprouted, I had scrapped the original lettuce grow because I felt like the water was too cold and the roots weren't going in. The roots weren't developing as at the tops had grown. The seeds all sprouted nicely, but the roots didn't grow. And of course, I've given you guys the update and a little bit of a backlog on that. I raised it up off the ground. So the reservoir wasn't getting all the cold air, and it was getting warm air around it. This week, so I finally found my hydrometer, which I had upstairs somewhere, which monitors the temperature and humidity of a room, which obviously they're used quite a bit for grow rooms. So I finally found that because I had one around here, and I just knew I had to go through, and I found it. So I put it on. I put it on earlier this week, and it turns out that even with the way that I had things set up, that my room the area was still about 4 to 5 degrees less than what I wanted to sprout seeds. So ideally, for seed sprouting, you want it to be about 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but so you want it to be 25 and 30 degrees. And then once they start sprouting, you want to drop that down about 10 degrees. So the seeds like warm, like the warmer well, not too warm, but you want it between 25 and 50 degrees. When I found my temperature gauge or my hydrometer, I think that's what it's called. I don't know if that's what it's pronounced, but it measures humidity and temperature. When I found that and I put it in, I realized that I was actually probably sitting about 20, 21 degrees. So it was still just slightly cooler than what I wanted to get seed started. So I put in a heat source. I just had a little space heater, and because everything's so enclosed and I don't have to worry about water getting on anything, I just put it up underneath, right beside the water reservoir, and I've got it set to now the temperature is consistently between 26 degrees and 30 degrees. So that obviously is going to help. So I had out of the original, it was about, when I counted, it was about 60 some seeds. Oh, sorry, 70 some seeds that I had put in the system. Now, again, these weren't quality seeds. They've been sitting around on my shelf for 3 years. The person that gave them to me just gave them to me. Oh, happy 710, everybody. Here's the test of this resin, I think, hash. We'll find out what it is. Happy 710. I can't taste anything. I can't even smell anything. So, and I'm sure it's great. Maybe if a couple more tokes I found it, but this cold has got me so not tasting anything. I could smell the rosin or the hash a little bit. when I was opening up the container, which, like I said, I haven't been able to smell anything, so that's great. But I can't even taste the weed. Like I'm literally tasting air right now. That was like that with our food too. So me and my son, I made hamburger veg soup for us tonight because, of course, we're both sick. So there was no sense in making anything elaborate. So I made hamburger veg soup, and neither one of us could taste a goddamn thing. Like, we literally have no taste. Or no, it's a head cold. So it's right all in here in our sinuses. So it's just completely wiped out our taste buds. And it's the same with smoking. Like, I literally can't even taste the weed in this. I can tell it's smooth, but that's about all I can tell. So it smells great. Unfortunately, I can't taste anything at this point. I can tell, like, from inhaling it, like I'm catching a buzz really quickly, so I can tell it's probably strong. But that's the most I can tell. So, where was I again? Okay, let's see where. So the update on the grow. Oh, yeah, no, we tried this. I'm so fucking foggy right now because I'm sick. So I'm trying to think of my train of thought. So the grow. We'll go into that. Actually, go into that, and then I'll do the test here at the next one with that Canadian toffee. So I got my temperature up. So I warmed up the temperature in the room. It doesn't take that much. It was off by a few degrees, but see, I want it between 25 and 30, not below that for that stage. So I got that. Now, I had said last week that I didn't know. I'm sitting on the fence whether to do a second room or not. I want to keep one or two mothers, hopefully, because I've got some really nice genetics for next year's outdoor grow. A friend of mine and my uncle want me to do some clones for them, because I have the facilities for it and they don't. So I am going to be setting up a second room. So my plans kind of changed slightly, and I'll tell you why in a second. I was, as of last week, going to use my hydro system, I said, as a seed starter, to get all my vegetables and stuff start, and then do my first crop of lettuces and herbs after that. But I decided this week that I'm going to finally bit the bullet and bought myself a grow tent. This is literally the first grow tent that I've ever owned. Because when I started growing, at least, back in the day, first of all, when I started growing with my father, they were grow rooms. There was no grow tents back then. There wasn't anything prefab that you could just order easy. You got to remember, like, I'm from the era of the crossover where internet shopping wasn't popular at this point. So you just couldn't go on the internet and find anything. So we built grow rooms. Like, we built our own, like, closets. Grow closets was the thing when I was younger. There just wasn't that product available in the market, right? And maybe if it wasn't easily accessible or very expensive. It was just not in most people's reach. And I actually remember hash bags, which are the ice water bags. They were like $300 or $400 a set back then, and now you can go get them for like $50 because it's just there's so much more access to that type of product with things like Amazon that we didn't have 20 years ago. And so we had grow rooms. So anytime that I did an indoor grow, or anybody I knew did indoor grow, they were always just built. And I remember using the white plastic a lot or painting the room white. So grow tent for me is something that's fairly new. It's kind of, and now you can go on Amazon and there's 50 different grow tents out there. So being that, of course, I have 9 cats, I have to protect my plants. Like, they're just too damn curious. I could turn my back room into a full grow room if I wanted to, but I don't know. I just wanted to get a grow tent this time. I haven't got one. So I'm like, I'm gonna get one for myself. So I went on Amazon. I've been looking around for a couple of months, and I ended up coming across one for $99, which is a fucking deal of a price. Because most times these grow tents that are at least at this size were like $150 and $200 and up. So I got one for $99. That is a 4 foot by 3 foot length and width, but it's broke up into two. So there's the main compartment where you can grow your main plants, but then there's a second like addition that you can start your seedlings in. So I can have multiple lights in this. So I had seen one of these before, but it just wasn't within my price range. And then I came across this one on Amazon, like literally last week for $99. And I'm like, fuck yeah, like you can't go wrong. And it has a lot of good reviews on it. So it wasn't one that didn't have any reviews. It actually had quite a few good reviews on it. It was a pretty good name brand. And I will, when I get it in, I'm actually getting it tomorrow. So I'll give you guys some more information. I'm going to be putting it together over the weekend and all that fun stuff. So next weekend, next week's, I'll show you guys. I'll give you guys the information about it, which one I bought and all that. I just wasn't prepared. Like, I kind of just winged it today. I wasn't even thinking about what I was going to talk about or anything because I've just been so sick. So, I ordered that last week, and I wasn't really planning on, like, when I thought of what I was going to have upstairs, I thought I was going to have like a 2x3 room, like just a one main tent. So what's really nice about having this little side room seed starter is now instead of starting my vegetables that I'm going to put straight outdoors into that hydro system, I'm going to start them in there. So I'm going to set up my tent next week, or sorry, I'm setting it up probably tomorrow or Saturday. It comes in tomorrow. So I'm pretty excited because I've never owned a grow tent. I've only done grow rooms. So I'm pretty excited to finally own one. When I keep looking at them again, they were just out of my price range. And I don't really technically need a $300 or $400 tent. I have a full back room that I can just convert. And that was one of the reasons why I found it hard to spend that much money on something I really didn't necessarily need. I could just clear out that room and use it. It's like I don't know, it's bigger than a walk-in closet, but it's like a back storeroom upstairs. Oh, I'm going like this because I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. So I couldn't justify spending that much money on something that I didn't necessarily need. It was more of a want. But when I came across this one for $99, I'm like, you can't go wrong. $99 for a grow tent, fuck yeah. And the fact that it has the two separated rooms, and the seedling room isn't near as big. Like, so the main room is like 2x3, and then the little seedling one, I think it's like 1 foot wide. So it's not half and half, which you don't need half and half. So, and I also have 2 LED lights, and I have one that's like smaller, so it'll be perfect to go into the seedling room, little smaller seedling room. And then I have a 600 watt, so that one will go into the main room. So instead of doing what I was thinking of doing last week, which I explained, I was originally planning on doing the cannabis and started that, and then putting the vegetables behind that, starting them. Once I got them outside, then I was going to start my lettuce grow. Now I don't have to do that. Now I've got the tent coming in. I'm going to start my vegetables for my garden in that seed starter, that side room. And then in the main room, I'm going to start my 4 autos, and eventually that will be where my mother's going to be kept. I have some photos now. They can stay in the hydro system until they get big. So, and then I'm going to be transplanting. Those are going to be either be dirt to go outside, or they're going to be, I'm going to keep 2 for mothers. I just don't like, obviously, the strongest and the best. So I have a couple different types of strains and genetics. I'm getting some new genetics actually on Tuesday to kind of add into the mix. So, I got things changed up a little bit. Nice. I ended up ordering some new genetics. So I got some new photos coming in, which will be Tuesday. So I'm going to have new strains I'm going to be starting. Because so the strains that I have 2 strains, and they're the ones that I had for a couple years. Oh, happy 420, everybody. I still got my joint rolls. So happy 420. Which are Blueberry Force and Blue Turban. They come from a friend of mine in Florida, and he gave me a whole bunch of seeds for nothing. Like, I didn't pay for them. He was just really nice and gave me like a couple hundred seeds a couple years back. But I just don't feel like they grow in our climate very well. Because great genetics, like they started off great inside. But I found when I moved them outside, that they didn't thrive as well. They didn't finish off as well. And maybe I'm thinking that it's probably because it's a strain that's more used to a different climate. Um, but I had people that I gave them some clones to that did really well. But the people that did really well were the ones that were in greenhouses. Like my friend had him in a greenhouse. He fucking did amazing. I had a friend of mine that grew indoors. He did amazing with them. But I did them outdoors, just straight outdoors. And a couple of my friends put these straight outdoors and they didn't really do much. So what I'm thinking is probably they're just not used to where, like, it's just, they're not, the strain was more different grow. Just wasn't climatized to our area. So, but the people that had them that grew well with them really fucking loved them. But I just didn't get the yield as I didn't see them get as big and get as much of a yield off them as I thought I should have. So what I did was and I had shown you guys last week some of the autos that I've gotten from Equigenetics. I can't know how to pronounce it, but I got them last week, and I ended up going back to their site and ordering for myself and my uncle some photos. So I've got some photos, and those are the ones that I'm going to start. They're going to be the ones that I take the clones off of. I've got my other photos there. I'll be taking some clones off them. But I'm going to decide, obviously, which one does the best. But I'm thinking that for me, I'm probably going to want to keep some Equigenetics because I really think they're going to thrive in my grow environment because he's Ontario and I'm in Nova Scotia. It's closer to the same climate as versus the Florida guy. I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I have a feeling, and because I'll be growing them side by side too, so I'll be able to tell. But my personal opinion is that I'm going to have a better time with the Ontario genetics outdoors than the Florida genetics, only because then they're probably more climatized to a certain grow period or grow climate. So we'll see. It'll be an experiment because I still have the ones that I have in there now are the Florida strains, and I'm going to have the Ontario strains in next week. So I'm going to be able to kind of go side by side and see. And then, like I said, so what I want to do upstairs is I want to do my autos because I've got 4 of a strain and then keep a mother up there for next year so I can grow, like, keep one mother. I think I'm going to keep one. Keep that, and then I'll have my autos beside it. I can keep that under an 18-hour light cycle, still pull off some bud for fun, and keep some mothers for next year. I think that's what I'm going to do. Might decide not to keep mothers. Maybe I'll just sprout. I don't know. Because I really do like buying this. Like, the seed, he's got a really reasonable price. So maybe I might just grow a mother for this year and then do my clone. Like, I'm going to do clones because I want to grow more. Like, I got 4 seeds. Like I said, I do them for my uncle. I do them for a couple friends that don't know how to do it and they don't want to do it. I have better luck at it. So I just do them for my family and my friends. So, but I may just do that round and then grow my autos and then just buy more seeds from them next year for the photos. I don't know. I don't know how about that. I'm just having fun growing and then playing with it. So I'm not steady fast on what I'm actually going to do. But I do know that I'm very excited to grow a shit again because I think it's going to fucking thrive in Nova Scotia. And so I think that if I do keep a mother from anything, it'll probably be his genetics, not the Florida genetics. But we'll see. Maybe I'll have, like, I've started the Florida genetics not earlier than this year, but I'm just straight from seedling. I'm not going to, like, I'm going to see if the seedling themselves maybe might go better. Maybe they just don't like being cloned. I don't know. Like I said, this is all doing with different genetics is something new to me. When I was younger growing up, I just had a certain couple people that I bought clones from, and I didn't play with the from seed. And the opposite, my father just started seeds, and he really didn't have a bunch of new genetics he could buy from. He would just do his own seeds, and he had his own genetics, and everybody around here kind of had their community and would, like, trade seeds and shit. So buying seeds online, buying genetics online, and playing with different genetics from different areas and all of that, that's something that's new to me. So I'm just making a guess, but I'm going to assume that the Florida strain just doesn't like my growing climate, and that's why it thrives indoors and thrives in greenhouses, and not quite so much in my backyard. So that's my suspect, but I guess we'll see this year because, again, I'm going to have the Florida genetics right alongside the Ontario genetics, and I'm going to be putting some of them straight outside. So we'll see. So anyway, that's where I'm going to end off for tonight, because again, I'm not going to stay on a rant tonight. I am freaking done. My brain is fried. I'm sick. But next week we will do, like I have, as of today, this afternoon, I have moved my seedlings, my cannabis seedlings, and they're about this tall. I got about 25, 30 of them that are sprouted. I didn't give up on the ones that haven't sprouted yet, but I moved them out of the hydro system and into a black, like just a growing tray. And I'm going to put them into my seed starting room when I get that set up tomorrow. Only because I really just wanted to get some lettuce started. I'm like, you know what? Now that I realize that I don't really need to use this space for my vegetables, and I don't know if these seeds are going to pop or not. These remaining cannabis ones, because I said these were ones that floated. Can't remember. Yeah, floated. So there was half that floated and half that sunk, and I can't remember off the top of my head. I think the ones that sink are good. The ones that float that aren't. I can't remember. That's just a technique I just learned this year about floating your seeds to see if they're going to. But I had about half that floated and half that didn't. So I have half that sprouted and half that didn't. So obviously that technique does work, because I'm going to assume that the ones that have sprouted are the ones that, again, I think it's the ones that sink are good. Pretty sure. I planted them anyway. I did the soaking. And I still planted the ones that they're deemed, because I have the room. I might as well see, right? Experiment. I have the room to see if they're going to sprout or not, right? So I did it. I planted them all, but I would say by that floating technique that, yeah, I had about half that I deemed that probably weren't going to sprout, and they have, that's about half of it didn't sprout. So, but I'm not giving them up on them yet. I've just moved them into a tray, on like a little tray. I'm going to throw those up in my seed sprouting room and just let them sit there and see what happens in the next couple weeks. Because I've been surprised before. I've had clones that I thought were fucking dead, threw them outside, and go back 3 weeks later, and they're like a foot tall. So sometimes you just can't tell. I'm not going to throw them away. I'll throw them in there. If they sprout, they don't. So I'm going to throw them in there. But I've started my lettuces. So I started those today. So I'm really excited. So next week, I should have a sprout update, a true sprouting update on how many, the percentage on how many of my seeds for my lettuces germinated. I've got the proper temperature now. My water's good. My light's good. So everything's consistent. The temperature was the major one. I can say that my cannabis seeds already have roots. So I am, and this was about the same mark, same time frame that when I decided that the lettuces weren't, because the water was cold, they didn't have roots at this point when I trashed them, and this was about the same age. Now they are two different plants, so I don't know if his cannabis just roots easier than lettuce too. But it was about the 3 week mark where I noticed there was leaves, but absolutely like no roots growing whatsoever, and that's when I concluded that the air or the water was probably too cold and the roots weren't thriving. Well, I checked today. Of course, I was going through everything, and this is the same about 3 week time mark with the cannabis. There's roots sticking out, so I believe that I was correct on the roots weren't going as well as they should have, because of the cold water going through the system was inhibiting them from growing. So now I have the proper water temperature. I have the proper everything, and I put those seeds in today. So I'll be able to, now those are the same seeds the same strain of lettuces and stuff that originally didn't grow the roots. So I'll be able to tell if I'm right, because at the 3 week mark, they should have roots sticking out of them. And if they don't, or if they do, then I know that the water temperature, I'm pretty sure that, like 99% sure that it was straight up that water temperature was the reason why the roots didn't want to grow into the water, because it just wasn't warm enough for them. So yeah, I'm going to let you guys go. But next week we will have a full, like I said, grow room update from upstairs with the tent that I'm going to set up, and I'll have my vegetables started. I'm going to start some of my outdoor vegetables there. I have my lettuces started in my hydro system, so we'll see in a week what happens in a week with those, because it will be a week to the day that those seeds were started. And then I've got my cannabis that are seedlings. So we'll have a full grow update on all of that next week. So until then, I'll let you guys go. Here, I'm going to play the closer too. Hopefully everybody has a good Easter weekend. I'm going to take it easy, obviously, and get over this cold and play with my grow room. So other than that, we will see you. We have Monday off for Ganja News, so we'll see you next Thursday. So I'm going to play the close right now.
Are you a Northern Ontario resident searching for credible information on cannabis as a medicine? No Sir is here to help. Established in 2013, Northern Ontario Cannabis Education and Resources is here for you. No Sir Director Kim Cooper brings you 45 plus years experience utilizing cannabis as a medicine and is spreading the education across the North. Activism, resources, referrals, and more at No Sir. Don't be a jackass. Say no sir to cannabis propaganda with No Sir. Find us at www.nocer.ca. Advertising space available at NOK. Contact us for a rate sheet at NOKNetwork.com. Send us a message on our social media platforms or email us at info@NOKNetwork.com.